All right, Kevin back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I'm here with Luke Ford. Luke, welcome. So awesome to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here. I'm excited to have a conversation.
I am too, and you and I, we met through the Quoted platform. And I got to tell you, I found out about Quoted about, I don't know, maybe about a year ago through a friend of mine. And man, I'll tell you what, I really appreciate the work that those guys are doing over there because I've met some really amazing podcast guests from that platform. And of course, that's how you and I met. And we already got to have a conversation and get to know each
Sure.
other a little bit. And now here we are back to do an interview for the pod. And I love that about doing this, that we're reconnecting rather than connecting for the first time doing this interview because we already both got a feel for each other
Yep.
and there's a good synergy going on here. And I've really been looking forward to this interview too.
Oh, well, that's
So
good to hear. So have I. That's something we have in common. How's that?
there we go. There we go. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll start off with a really simple question to kick us off, Luke. What do
Sure.
you do and who do you guys serve?
So my Computer Works is a company that provides basically tech support to consumers and to people who work from home.
Okay.
So whether it's micro businesses or whether it's consumers, if you work from home or you have home technology, that is our target market. And it's funny, people say, well, what do you do? And so we have new technicians come aboard. I always say, hey, what did you tell your friends you're going to go interview? And they always say, oh, to do tech support. I said, well, that's a good start, but really what we do is we take the stress out of people's lives. And it's if you don't approach this business with how am I helping this person through this technology challenge, you're really helping a person, right? That's
Mhm.
dealing with something they don't know how to deal with. And you got to remember that. You're not just going to fix a widget, right? You're going to, this person's trying to print something off. They're trying to do, they may have a contract they can't fill out. They may have a podcast they can't figure out how to get lined up. Whatever it is, they're dealing with it. They have a situation in their life that matters to them, and they're really stressed out,
Yeah.
right? They don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so they give us a call, and our guys remotely connect to their computer or the technology that they're using at home, and we fix the problem for them. And so really we're a help desk for technology. But
Okay.
I really like to say to people, we take the approach that we're here to just relieve you of all that stress you have around technology that surrounds you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know
Okay.
if that's sort of altruistic way of saying it, but it really is. It's what, I'm very proud of the fact that the technicians we have think about the person first,
Yeah.
and then they think about the technology.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you just go, oh, let me do this. Oh, I can't believe you don't understand how to do this. And let me just, it doesn't work well. You got to take
Yeah.
care of the person.
Yeah. And and when people feel that we really understand where they're at and we're communicating from with them from where they're at right now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they've got this thing that they're trying to get done and they can't figure out how to do it. And like you're right, they're starting maybe they're under a time limit here or something. And then
Mhm.
and just being able to communicate to that with them and say and just ease their pain, ease their
Yeah.
frustration. And
And really, the majority of the people that call us, or a good portion, are scared. They're fearful. They're afraid someone's taken over their computer, someone's stealing from them. So there's a lot of people that call us because they feel that there's been some invasion on their privacy or their computer or something like that. And so there's tremendous fear and insecurity. And so, for us, our we have to start with tons of empathy because they're also kind of embarrassed they're calling us sometimes.
sure.
Like, I can't believe I can't figure this out myself. So it's critical for our customer base that we start with empathy, we build the trust, we let them know who we are. We've been doing this for 21 years. We've been doing this a long time. I was a young man when we started this. And so once we get there, then they're like, okay, let me tell me what your problem is. Let's take care of it for you. We got you. That's really, I always do the phrase, we got you, right? We
Uh-huh.
that's what we do.
Yeah. So how did you get in to this line of work? Because I don't imagine you were a kid thinking like this is what what, because I was a kid, I wanted to be a fireman, And so,
Yeah, 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 for sure, for sure. Yeah.
how
Or
did
fire
you get
truck.
into this?
Yeah, it's funny. This is a very true story. I was an IBM sales guy 100 years ago, and I got my first PC and to connect to the internet, through AOL or whatever it was.
I
And
remember AOL.
yeah, yeah, you're trying to figure out how this thing works, and my wife and I was having a problem with it, and like how sometimes my wife thinks I can fix a car, she thought I could fix a computer, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I mean, she goes, well, what do you mean you don't know what you're doing? You're an IBM sales guy. How could you not know what you're doing? I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. We're gonna try to figure this out together. And so, it dawned on me. This was in 1997, I think. And
Okay.
it dawned on me that might have been before that, but let's go with 1997. It dawned on me that technology was going to be so critical for people in their home that someday they would need the same type of support that IBM gave our customers. Like
Mhm.
our technicians were remotely connected into mainframes, and right, we supported our customers because their technology was critical for them, right? And I knew that we needed high speed. I knew that the content on the internet needed to be invaluable to people. I knew they needed to be dependent on it. So we really waited until 2005. So I thought of the idea 8 years early, but the market wasn't ready yet. There wasn't this high speed. There wasn't all these websites that we needed to get to, these SaaS applications, if you will. So there was really sort of this, I had to put the brakes on and think about, okay, I want to do this, but I need to wait until the market is ready for it.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
but it was truly and honestly a little bit of tiff between me and my wife. That's how I thought of the idea.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. 1997 was the year that I bought my very first computer and stuff.
Yeah, it was like what, $100,000. I'm kidding, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, right? They were probably 3 grand or 2,500 back then.
Yeah,
I don't
about
know.
2,500 bucks. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
certainly weren't 500 or whatever they are today.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
And it was
right?
this
Yeah,
big monitor that was very deep.
yeah, 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 for sure, for sure. So
Yeah.
that's how I thought of the idea, and I just thought, wow. I mean, there's hundreds of millions of people in the United States that are, working from home. I had this vision with high speed internet that people were going to start working from home, and that people would that whole environment would change, and there wouldn't be people supporting those people that are working from home, and we needed to create a way to make that happen.
Yeah. So what impact did COVID have on your guys' business? This is a completely like I would have, I
Yeah,
mean, because I'm just
yeah,
curious.
sure,
That's just totally
sure.
self-serving asking that
Yeah,
question.
no, no, no. That's a very legitimate question. I get that question a lot. So first of all, it didn't impact us at all. Everything
Okay.
was. We live in Arizona, and the governor deemed us as an essential service, so we kept running the business, and nothing changed in our business.
Okay.
But everything's virtual. All our sports virtual,
Okay.
and so we didn't change anything as far as operationally,
Yep.
and we didn't get this massive influx of
See,
business. And
that's
the
what I
reason,
was wondering if you did,
yeah,
because now everybody
well,
else is home.
it was normal growth, but it
Okay.
wasn't this massive influx. And the reason is because the people that worked from home, as a realtor, let's say, independent, or an insurance guy, independent, or you, for example, independent guy working from home, um, you're still a customer. Like it still makes sense for this kind of market to use our service. But when there was an office building that sent 500 people from home to home, they have an IT infrastructure that was already there to support them when they got in their
Okay.
home. So
Okay.
our market is really the individual, or there's three people working from a home office or something like that. We're not an MSP. I don't know if you're familiar with that
Yep.
business, but we're not an MSP where we support hundreds of people in one business. We're
Okay.
really tailored and focused on the individual business owner.
Okay. Okay. What inspires you most, Luke, about the work that you guys get to do and the impact you're making?
That's a good question, and I think it's really I'm kind of a people guy,
Okay.
right?
Me too.
And yeah, I mean, I really genuinely care about my employees, And while I guess the right answer should be I care about my customers, which I do. I mean, don't, clearly, that's, but me individually, why do I wake up in the morning? Is what inspires me is helping my team do better at their job, help them be better people. It's funny, I had a young woman that worked for me she still works for me for 20 years for another one of my businesses. And I used to say to her, hey, look, every December, I'd like you to create your resume and see if you learned a bunch last year. Because if you did, then you should stay. And if you didn't, then you should move on. And I loved her to death. I really cared about her. But that's how I really try to feel about all my employees.
Yeah.
And she's been with me now 21 years.
Wow.
Um, but but to me, it's legitimately worrying about that person's career. I don't know if you've ever read this anywhere, but the number one reason why people leave a company is their immediate supervisor. And it's not their boss's boss or the president. It's not their income. It's not the work they do. It's does the person I work directly for care about me?
Mm.
Um, and I think the reason why I have no turnover is because I actually genuinely care about the people that work for me, whether it comes from my faith or whether it just comes from, the way I was created. I just genuinely care about the people that work for me. And so I think that's what I like to do is try to help people. And by the way, that doesn't mean they stay with me forever. If I can help someone build their career for 5 or 6 years and it makes sense because I don't have a place for them to go, I'm okay with that. But
Yeah.
that's kind of why I get up in the morning and come to work, to be honest.
Yeah. And I would imagine are the people on your team, a lot of them are married, maybe have kids of their own and all of that. So they
Mhm.
got families and
Mhm.
so them by working for you, they're supporting their entire families and stuff. And
Oh yeah, I mean that's fantastic. I mean, I remember when I was younger when I had the business, I started when I think I was 37. Um, I remember like the first employee having a baby. Like there was it was a guy, but his wife had a baby, and so there was like this first, family that had a child oh no, like I felt responsible. Like, oh no, I can't fail now because now I got a baby that's whose father's working here. It was kind of a funny feeling, but that's
yeah,
that's legitimate.
yeah,
It's
totally.
how do I take care of the people that work for me? And look, I have conflict, I have issues, I have challenges. We're not all perfect, but I do my best to really genuinely try to help the people. And sometimes it means that they're not working here because it's not the best place for them.
Yeah,
But I think our results, my technicians, it's a call center, right? But my leaders in that call center, I think they average 15 years with me in a call center. I mean, that's
wow.
insane, right?
Yeah,
My technicians, I think it's 7 or 8 years in a call center.
yeah,
Now, they're really great guys. They get to do the work they want to do. I'm sure they're not overpaid. I think they're paid market rates. But they're able to do the work they love to do, and they know that there's probably someone that cares about them that works at the top.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, I
That's
think that's I sound very puristic or altruistic there, but it's kind of how I feel.
But I mean, I totally get it because I feel the same way. I don't have, I mean, I have a few like people who help me out with the
Mhm.
business and stuff. But working from home, and my business model is different than yours. But I have a number of clients that I serve, and
Sure.
and the way that you feel about your team is the same way. There is not a single client that I serve that I don't consider a friend that I wouldn't invite into my home for dinner with my
Yeah.
family and I. And in fact, many of them have been here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I totally get it, and
Yeah.
we in fact I had one client did a video testimonial for me, and his comment was he said, Kevin almost cares about me more than I think I care about myself sometimes, and I get it. I totally get
Yeah.
it because we love the people that are around us and stuff, and
Yeah.
we just genuinely appreciate them because we know we wouldn't be where we are if not for them.
Oh no, for sure not. For sure
And
not.
so,
And yeah, no, I would say it's it. I mean, I do love getting, we do a net promoter score for all of our customers every time they get our service, and every single one comes through my inbox and I see every single one. We support hundreds of customers a day.
yeah,
And so there's a lot that come through. And the comments that come through, it just, they also make me feel great. But it's probably because that technician is helping them is genuinely cares about them, sort of kind of goes downhill, if you
You
will.
bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, so let's go to what are some examples? So if anybody's listening to this, kind of like, what are examples? You don't have to name names or anything, but what's
Sure.
examples of stuff that you've helped clients with that you're just really proud of?
Um, well, I guess, it's funny, and this is a big one. And it's kind of an amalgamation of multiple clients. So this is me pulling a bunch of clients into one client as I'm
Okay.
telling the story.
Okay.
But the one thing that we really do, we do well, is we help seniors. That's a big portfolio of our customers or seniors. We help them stay engaged in life. And, I remember, you know, my dad, this was an example. Rest his soul, he died some years back. But when we first started the business, he and his sister were too um, ill to travel and too old. One lived in Boston and one lived here in Phoenix. And we set it up so that they could do Zoom calls. Now, this is long before COVID. But we set it up so they were able to talk, able to communicate, and
Yeah.
able to have a relationship. So once a month, the two of them would get on their computers and they would have a conversation and they would. So that's an example,
Yeah.
a real tangible example. Another one it's kind of a really simple, kind of a dumb one, but it's actually kind of funny. We had a lady out of Philadelphia who wanted to go see her grandchildren and didn't have the money or whatever it was. And she called us and said, "Can you put the ding on my computer?" And what's the ding? The ding
The
on her
ding.
computer. Ding. And she said, "Yeah, there's a Southwest ding." Well, back there was this marketing thing that Southwest Airlines was doing that when a good rate airfare between Philadelphia and wherever she needed to go would drop below a certain amount or whatever you could set it up so your computer dings, right? She wanted a ding on her computer. Now, that's a really like, would you do that kind of stuff? So really, well, we don't just fix computers, right? Like I said earlier, she had a need, something she wanted, she
Yeah.
didn't know how to do it, so she gave us a call to take care of that ding. I mean, I can tell you, we get calls every single day where someone has been scammed, where people are actually still on their computer, where it's really criminal activity. And I mean, this happens all the time. And, well, hey, look, unplug your computer, take it off the internet, turn it off, let us get you signed up, and then we'll get on there and we'll get them off and we'll take care of it. Happens all the time. And but again, the internet's it's a beautiful place, but it's also a very dangerous place if you're susceptible to scams
Yeah.
or theft or fake emails or any of those kinds of things. And so the thing I'm probably most proud of is that we really are extending the entertainment life. And it's not just entertainment like movies, but like the life of being active for seniors,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're able to use this beautiful tool to see things or participate in things they just wouldn't do if they
Yeah.
weren't part of who they are.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really nice sort of, when I reflect, I think that's something that we do that I'm very proud of,
Yeah.
is sort of give people more access to life,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially when they're incapacitated, when they can't move, they're more immobile, all those kind of things, and that makes a big difference in people's lives. So yeah, I would say that's something I'm very proud of.
Yeah. Yeah, and man, what a great example, because you're right. Just being able. I mean, both my parents are passed away now, but to just be able to like have them. I mean, technology today is something else. I mean, we certainly didn't have so much of what we have today when I was a kid. And I used to watch Star Trek with the communicators, and
Yeah,
like
right, right.
now, man, that is totally reality nowadays.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well, it's interesting. I've had people tell me my entire career at this company that, oh no, Luke, computers are going to get so simple in the future that they're not going to need your service, right? And I'm waiting for that day. I think that with the multiple vendors on our desktop now, if that makes sense. Whether it's Google or whether it's Microsoft or whatever it happens to be, it makes it more complicated. And to be honest with you, we're teaching seniors how to use AI.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't we show you how to use Grok or ChatGPT or whatever, whatever it happens to be, and we're going to show you how to look up, you know, for example, would be my father-in-law. He loves looking at stocks and figuring out the best stocks and all that stuff. And so we show him how to use AI to do research. Oh my goodness, he says, right, this is fantastic, right? And people would be afraid to try that if it wasn't for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what's pretty cool is we're like, hey, don't be afraid. We're on here with you. We're gonna make it happen. Don't stress out. We've got you.
Yeah.
Oh wow, wow, this does that. It answers that question. I said, yeah, ask another question. And so, we have lots of people that are new to the, as technology changes, they have, I don't know, reasonable amount of, insecurity about
You
it.
bet. You bet. Yeah, I think the thing is you're right because people will be people. And there's always going to be people who, there's those that are first in, that like,
Yep.
man, AI starts in, they're like, they're first responders and I'm in and I'm using this stuff. But that is not the bulk of the population.
No,
That is a
no, it's not.
very small percentage.
Yeah, it's funny. What people don't realize is when you're about 25, new technology you're no longer comfortable with. Like, because what happens is you're kind of figuring stuff out as a kid and you're learning and you're learning and you're learning. And then you turn 25 and you get a real job.
Mhm.
And your real job is not learning technology. Your real job is you're a waiter or you're whatever, you're something.
Yeah.
But you're not a tinkerer anymore. You're not, finding all the fun new technology with your buddies. And so one of the things we find is that, you know, that just like Facebook now is for old people, right? Kids are on, first there's Instagram, and now they're on TikTok, and who knows. And so it just people age out of learning new technology. So even the kids in their 20s now, whatever comes after TikTok and all that, they're not going to be comfortable with because it's not what they grew up with.
Yeah.
So all these things change, and we're frankly the guys that help them through that change.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so now that we've got some context set here and people have a little bit of an understanding of who you are, Luke, and what you guys do, I want to switch gears just a little bit. I want to start talking about the relationship side of this in a little bit more depth.
Sure.
So, have you ever met or been introduced to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And I'm just really excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
Yeah. So, it is my wife.
Okay.
It is my wife. I met Reagan when we were in college, and we actually got engaged in college and got married quickly after that. And so we've been together 36 years, almost
Wow.
37 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, 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 crazy. So yeah, I know you're like, there's no way that can be.
Yeah, you must
But
have
we,
got married when you were like 8 or 12 or something.
Yeah, 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 right. So I'm self-aware, right? But the reality is, um, being an entrepreneur is not for the weak of heart.
No, no.
And building a business is not for the weak of heart. And, I was a big company guy for 15 years. You lived in 5 cities, 3 different countries, had a good career. Your life was good, making a good income. Kids were happy and could go to camps and all those things and take nice vacations. And I told my wife this crazy idea. I said, I want to go do this, right? And the reality is, she went through, she really bore the weight of the household, of all the things that go along with being an entrepreneur, the insecurities with it, the lack of financials with it or finances. And she's also super smart. So, she's a great sounding board when I have issues or I'm trying to figure out what the next step is or what do I need to
Okay.
do. I'm the eternal optimist. Like I believe everything is going to work and everybody's wonderful. And I think she's more of a, I would say she's, well, we'll just say she's a realist. Uh, which all pessimists believe they're a realist. But I say that tongue in cheek, but she is a realist, and so she kind of keeps me guided when I think everything's going to be wonderful and everything's going to be great, and sort of helped guide me through when I have too much confidence that something's going to work out, whether it's a person or a process or an idea or a channel or something like that. And I think we work together as a team very well when it comes to that. So yeah, so I would say, without that sort of, support, that it would be very, very difficult for me to manage my life without having someone like her to do that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think people say, "Oh, it was me. I did this." Um, and I believe that I believe some things are predestined, but I also believe that people have support systems that help them be successful, and you can't undersell the importance of that. So yeah, I would say for sure. I mean, that's really, I mean, if I didn't have her, there's no way, absolutely no way I would have been successful. Yeah, and now she's an entrepreneur in her own right. So she's got her own business after the kids left for school.
Okay.
She started her own business, and now she's quite frankly, I think we're both going to make Inc. magazine's fastest growing companies this year with different companies.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Congratulations to
Well, let's
both
just
of
put it
you.
this way: if we were on last year's, we would have made it.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like our growth rates this time, both of us. So I'm not pre-announcing anything because I have no idea, but we certainly have both had some real success this year.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what's an example of a situation where you personally, Lou, got to make this really substantial impact, and maybe even in the moment, maybe it even surprised you a little bit. You were like, "Wow, look at what just happened there," and yet for a fact that would have never been possible if not for the relationship that you and your wife have. What's an example of something like that where you were empowered that way because of your guys' relationship?
Well, I mean, I guess I would say certainly my risk taking.
Okay.
Yeah, like you have to have a certain amount of confidence that you're going to be okay when you take a risk as an entrepreneur or as a person building a company. And I think that, I mean, I can give examples of, identifying a new channel partner that, we're going to take a lot of energy and a lot of money and a lot of time to try to make happen. Where, I'm like, hey, this is going to be risky. We're going to put a lot of capital into this idea. Do I need your support on this because if it doesn't happen, it's gonna be trouble.
Mhm.
So I know that's probably more vague than you wanted, but I would say that sort of I think along the road, if you have risks that you're taking and your partner, in my case, my wife, doesn't say, yeah, that makes sense, um, then then you may not take that risk,
Mhm.
or hire that person or start that new business. I mean, not part of this conversation completely, but I have three businesses, right? My Computer Works is one of them.
Okay.
And started a second business, started a third business. By the way, they're all about the same size, or the other ones are even bigger.
Okay.
And when I go to start those businesses, it's like, hey, Reagan, I know you got your business, it's cooking along. I'm going to take this risk. Do you feel comfortable as a household that we take this risk? And and yeah, we did it, and we did great. So yeah, so I would say more around risk taking and decisions. You're more confident when you have someone supporting you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I had this experience. I'm trying to think now. It's been a while. It's been probably been 15 years ago. I was wanting to do this deal with this guy, and I'm like you, I'm like the eternal optimist. It'll all be great, you know.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So,
Right.
and and my wife was like, "Honey, I don't think you should do this. I don't think you should." She goes, "I just something don't feel right. I just don't. I don't." And and I was like, "Oh, honey, it'll be just fine. It'll be fine." And about a year later, it wasn't.
It wasn't so fine.
Yeah, and she didn't, bless her, she did not come back saying I told you so,
Yeah,
but we
yeah,
did
yeah.
have a conversation and I was telling her I should have listened to you.
Yeah.
And ever since then I always have.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I mean, there's a yin and a yang and thing going on here,
Yeah.
right? And I think that if you have that, you're a blessed person, and I think that that's one of the things that allows people to be successful is when they have that sort of relationship where there's a yin and a yang,
Yeah.
relationship. People aren't, you need people that are different than you,
Totally.
to be successful,
Yes.
and I would say that's one thing for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for anybody that might be listening to this thinking, man, Kevin, I really like Luke. Man, I love the way he shows up. He's just got this great energy, and I'd like to find out more about what those guys are doing and stuff. Any websites, any resources we can share with folks?
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you can Google My Computer Works and you'll
Uh-huh.
find everybody that's talking about us and, who we are and what we're about. And, whether it's LinkedIn, we're on there. I mean, you can certainly get a hold of me anywhere on LinkedIn. We're all over Facebook. We're in Instagram, but again, it's not as much our market.
Okay.
Um, and then you can go to our website, but I'm certainly available on LinkedIn to have conversations. But I can say, one of the things we didn't talk about real quickly is in contacting me or the idea around business or hey, Luke's a good guy, I might want to try. If you have a market where you're targeting people that aren't working for a big company or consumers, um, that's our space. Like
Okay.
so, you know, whether so that's really our channel, if you will. We do a lot of digital marketing channel. That's how we get a lot of our business. We have a tremendous amount of emails we do, but we really don't have any huge uh partners um that are sort of affiliate channels. If you we have one that has maybe 1,000 um 1099s that kind of help them be successful, and they promote our service to them, right?
Okay.
And so if you have a network of people that aren't supported by computers with technology, but they need that support, those are the affiliates that we really like to try to find out there to make us successful. I think a great one that could make us successful, I know it could, or it could make them successful, is the home monitoring and security business,
Okay.
right? Because
So we're talking like companies like ADT and stuff.
exactly. Like, so people are like, think, hey, this sounds like a really cool business. Sounds like a great guy. I want to work with this guy. God forbid. A company that's providing security to the physical, like house, if you will.
Mhm.
Well, we provide security to the digital house, right?
Mhm.
And so, there could be a potential partnership with that kind of relationship. If you think about it, I did go into AI to try to figure this out, but I think you're 10 times more likely to be a victim of crime or theft on your computer than in your house,
Mhm.
right? So if I had a company that was focused on the physical security to keep theft, whatever, well, why wouldn't you want to partner that maybe could help the
The
digital
other
part of
the other
the
back
house?
door that
The other back door,
yeah,
right. And because it's more likely that you're going to have a problem
yeah,
there than
yeah,
through the front door. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So those are the kind of potential affiliate partners, making connections, that I think really there could be some beautiful synergies, if the right sort of culture came together.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you got me thinking now, and so and I'll just noodle some more on this too. And well, and any last thing that you feel led to share, Luke, before we call it a wrap?
No, no, I feel good. I just look, I really appreciate the time. I appreciate the exposure. I appreciate your interest in us. We really do have good people. We have got a great company culture, great stuff going on, and obviously I love to share it. So I appreciate the opportunity to share it.
You bet, absolutely. And I really appreciate you taking your time to have this conversation today, and really appreciate that. And heck, I'm excited to get this out there and share it with folks. And so, and
Well,
like, I mean,
great.
I totally love your energy, Luke. You just got a great energy, and yeah, you're just like this upbeat, optimistic guy.
Oh, I
It's
know it
making a
drives my
big
wife
impact.
crazy.
Yeah. So, well, thanks so much.
All right. Thank you so much.